now. We might get some more people joining us as we go along. So, welcome to the first in our series of webinars on the FAAC group of products. So, this series will cover a range of products from our group, our company group, including magnetic automation, FAAC, simply automatic, census, and hub parking technology. My name is Gregor McNamara, and I'm the Entrance Solutions Product Manager. Today we're going to be talking about the magnetic automation mWing pedestrian barrier, which is part of the FlowMotion range of pedestrian barriers. I will also be discussing how these barriers can assist with COVID compliance requirements towards the end of this presentation. So before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar will run for about 10 to 15 minutes, plus time at the end to answer any questions you might have. Please use the Q&A messaging system on your screen to send through any of your questions. I'll get to as many as I can today. Anything I can't answer, I'll respond to you personally as soon as I can. On the screen now, you will see some examples of the barriers in an office building setting. So you'll notice that they are very unobtrusive and blend in well with a modern decor. Here is, you'll see some of the basic specifications on the mWing. I'm not going to dwell on this because I'll cover most of this as we go through the presentation, and this information is readily available. So let's now have a look at the barrier itself. Hopefully you can all see me now. Now this particular barrier is in our Melbourne showroom. The mWing is the second barrier to be released in the FlowMotion range after the launch of the M-Tripod turnstile last year. And FlowMotion are the third generation of pedestrian barriers released by magnetic automation since we designed and manufactured our first barriers in Melbourne in 1994. These barriers are designed and built in our German factory. So the first thing you'll notice about the FlowMotion mWing are its shape and skin material. So these barriers have a distinctive smooth shape with large glass infill panels, and to reduce the bulkiness of the design. These barriers were designed by the Italian design house Pininfarina. They won a German Design Award in 2018. So the housings are slim at only 180 millimetres wide, making them amongst the narrowest in the market. So the other thing you'll notice about these barriers is the material they're made from. So they're not made from stainless steel, which is quite cold, but and the stainless steel barriers you might associate with, say, seeing in a train station, but they're made from moulded polyurethane called mDure. This polyurethane is highly resistant to impacts, scratches and abrasions, but it's flexible enough to absorb impacts without deforming. And it has quite a warm feel to it, contrasting it to the cold feel you might get. The cold feel you might get from stainless steel or glass. It's coated with an automotive grade paint, meaning that you can order these barriers in almost any colour you want, as you can see from the barrier behind me. As standard though, it comes in this grey colour. They can be cleaned with standard cleaning products, and scratches can be repaired with touch-up paint. This particular set is a standard lane configuration. It's for 600mm wide and 900mm high. The wide lane is 900mm, but you can specify your width from anywhere from 520 to 960mm, and you can have your wing height of up to 1800mm high. And the good thing about this style of barrier is that no matter the width or the height of the wings, the housing width remains the same at 180mm. This particular configuration is there's a single lane with an A slave unit and a B master unit. For multiple lane arrays, you also have a C unit, which is a centre lane, which has wings on either side. So you can have an array as large or as small as you want. Pedestrian throughput, the question is often asked. Nominally, you can do 20 patrons a minute. However, keep in mind that the limiting factor of a barrier is not the opening speed and the closing speed, but external influences such as human factors and data transfer rates. So in reality, if you're designing these, you shouldn't be factoring in a throughput of more than 10 or maybe 15 people a minute. Now, safety is always on top of mind with these barriers. We're zooming in here. So to prevent, so safety is always top of mind, as I mentioned. To prevent the wings closing onto users and to detect unauthorised access, there's a series of 8 P-beams across the top. This is black line here. And 6 P-beams across the bottom. This barrier can also detect 3 types of unauthorised access. So I'm going to ask my colleague Matt to assist here. So the first type is intrusion. So a person entering without a valid pass. It detects and blocks and indicates red. Tailgating is the second type. So a person without a valid validation attempting to follow a validated person. So I'll tailgate Matt through. I'm going through and the barrier closes on. And the third type is wrong entry. So an already validated person gone from one side and I'll try and get through from the other. So see it closes on. I'll step back. You'll see that the wings actually stopped before I got that close. That's a safety feature. So even if you're trying to illegally enter the barrier, you're not going to be clocked by the wing. The mWing can be configured to a number of different operating modes. Currently, this barrier is configured to be controlled in both directions, so it'll accept an authorised access from either end. But you can configure this to be controlled in one direction and blocked in the other, controlled in one direction, free access from the other side, free access in one direction and blocked in the other, and free in both directions. So it really depends on the configuration of your space. You might want to have dedicated entries and exits, or you might want to have multiple lanes. You might want to be changing from morning to night. This barrier is also configured to the closed mode, which means that the barrier wing, when it's not being used, will default to being closed. But you can also set it to be in the open mode, so the barrier wing will default to being open when it's not being used. And of course, there are a number of other special modes, including emergency mode, which I won't go through now. So you will notice the lighting and display features on these barriers. You can see here the gate end display in green, which that will change to red as well. The edge illumination gives a really clear indication of what to do. So the barrier is configured to accept controlled entry from both ends, so therefore it's green both ends. As I badge on to pass through the barrier, my side remains green, and but the other side turns red, as you can see. And as we showed before, if I have an unauthorised entry, it will automatically turn red to indicate that I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Around the base of the barrier, you'll see the floor illumination, which is really sets off the barriers visually and it assists in dimly lit environments. So the edge and floor illumination are amongst the options available for these barriers. Other options include warnings on forced entry, interlocking against forced entry. You can have an Ethernet connection. Wing material can either be safety glass or acrylic. And of course, as we mentioned before, you can have your choice of colour. All inputs to the are to the MGC Plus controller, which is under this cover here. So the technology in these barriers has really leapt ahead in the last few years. The motor, gearbox and controller are all in that small space under the wing. For those of you who are familiar with with magnetic automation will know our boom gates. The current parking and access models have been around for over 8 years, and with there's well over 100,000 units in operation around the world in tollways and car parks. These barriers are certified to 10 million operations, and are recognised as being the most reliable and robust boom gates in the market. So the MHDM drive system and the MGC controller from those boom gates is now also used in all FlowMotion barriers. So these barriers are gaining the benefit of millions of hours of testing in the field. So naturally, everyone at the moment is very interested in contact-free entry systems. So this style of wing barrier has the advantage over a traditional tripod or a turnstile barrier, as the barrier wings operate automatically without needing to touch them. Activation of these barriers can be done through any standard type of access control. These systems, activation of barriers can be done through any type of access control, including facial recognition. This particular display unit here has a press button for access, that's just for display. But traditional contactless card readers can either be mounted under the faceplate, or larger readers can be surface mounted. Now, there are also some specific COVID-related hygiene options available. You can use the barrier to ensure your visitors sanitise their hands before entering the facility. You now will have noticed our hand sanitizer dispenser here. So Matt will just show that as this barrier will open once Matt sanitises his hands. We can also provide camera systems to monitor body temperature and mask detection. We're just going to show you some images now of one of our technicians in Germany testing this arrangement. So just bear with me just a sec. So on screen now, you'll see our technician, and you'll see that the camera is mounted on the barrier on the right-hand side as you look at him. So this particular camera will not only measure body temperature, it will also detect whether a person is wearing a mask. We will have a camera set up in our showroom very shortly, which will mount on the barriers. As soon as we do, we will email everyone and let everyone know via LinkedIn. So you can come and visit us and see how it works in real life. We'll also do a webinar very soon displaying all of these options. So please contact us about the range of options available for COVID-related products and solutions for things like people counting, managing occupancy levels, anti-gathering, queue management, and touch-free access. FAAC has a range of solutions which can assist. Whether your entrance has a pedestrian barrier like this, or an automatic door, or even if you don't even have a door, there is a solution available to help you with the counting and sanitisation. You may see some information about this on your socials about SafeFlow, touch-free, and thermal scanner, which are some terminology we're using. And you may also receive some emails from us about this. So that brings me to the end of this presentation. So I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope you've gained something from this presentation. If you have any questions, now's the time. So please ask via the Q&A text field and I'll answer them for you if I can. Whilst I'm waiting for some questions, if you have any queries, you can contact me via my email, which is on the screen now, or you can contact your local FAAC or Magnetic Automation office. You can also find information on the Magnetic Automation website and also on the FlowMotion website, which you can see on your screen. For designers, engineers and architects, the FlowMotion range is on BIM objects, along with a range of other magnetic automation products. So just bear for me one moment, let's wait for some questions.
Are those gates?
So the question is whether these gates come with jump over and crawl down sensors. They will be available as an option. Not for these, climb under won't be available for these, but they are going to be available for the pivot barriers. So yes, so they will be an option available. Just seeing if there are any more questions. In terms of availability, the M tripod, the mWing and the mSwing are all now available to order. The remaining products, the flat barrier and the high door, they'll be available from early next year. So just checking, can the mWing be configured to do people counting should the client want to control people out? Yes, they can. So that is part of our solutions. We're updating our firmware in the control. And safety will be able to manage prams and strollers. Always, you need to be careful dragging kids through these kinds of barriers. But the safety of these products are very advanced, a lot more advanced than the previous generation. When will the M flap be launched? Yes, they'll be launched early next year. So there's a question about the prox reader. So the prox reader, depending on the size of reader you've got, will either be mounted, you can mount underneath this cover. So for small readers, this is a removable cover. But if it's a larger reader, you can just surface mount it. There's been a request to show the sanitizer again. This is just a simple test. We've modified this dispenser here to provide an output which can control the barriers. Matt's just going to do a quick demonstration again. So in our next webinar on this product range, we'll be showing this using the camera as well. So we'll be able to show mask detection, body temperature, and hand sanitization as a single process. So just seeing what other questions. Yes, there's a question about whether there are safety sensors at the bottom. Yes, there are. Not sure if you can see, but yes, there's a 6P, there's an array of 6P beams along the bottom of the barrier, approximately where my pen is here. Do we have a high barrier model? Yes, there is a high barrier available. So the wing height will be up to 1800 millimeters high, which is my height. It'll be a slightly different arrangement with the pivot points, but yes, they are available. There's a question about, is it safe and easy to clean the surface with disinfectant? Yes, it is, not a problem. It's an automotive grade paint. You can clean it with pretty much anything. And I think that might be it for the time being. No, I've got one more question, sorry, and then we'll finish up. A question has been asked about what are the benefits of Enduro over stainless steel. Well, one of the benefits from a design point of view is that we've been able to create this barrier to be basically the shape that we want. This is actually from a mold. So there are no restrictions of how to actually form the shape of a barrier. So that's why we've been able to get this really smooth design shape. Other advantages are it all comes down to the feel. The modern requirement for barriers these days has changed a bit over the last 10 years, where from an architectural point of view, you want your barriers to blend into the environment rather than stand out. So if you've got a very nice expensive foyer, which has been designed by your architect, you don't want a big ugly battleship of a barrier in the way. So you can make these any colour you want. So if your architect has specified a very specific colour, it can be made that colour. The question about whether you can mount an RFID reader and or a QR reader on the same lane, yes, you can. You can have more than one input, opening input into the barrier. And look, and I think for the moment that's it. We're running out of time. So once again, thank you very much for your time. I hope this presentation has been of some use to you. Keep an eye on our socials when we'll be letting you know what our next webinars will be. If you have any requests of any products you'd particularly like to see or any service we provide, please let me know, and we'll do our best to put that in our scheduled presentations. So as there are no other questions, thanks very much for your time and have a good day.